今日は船出日和だな。
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Second Piece. My name is Ryan and my co-host is Shovel, and we will be diving into chapter 1058 for our first episode of the Second Piece, a chapter review.
Alright, yeah. Starting right along, we're going to be talking about the cover story. It is starring Caesar Clown and Germa 66. This is a follow-up from last chapter where we saw Caesar intervening between Katakuri and Oven trying to recapture Germa. It's a good cover story. I'm just excited to see where it goes from here, to see if this is Germa's Deus Ex Machina to finally get away, or if they're just going to get recaptured. But let's start right on to the actual chapter. We start off with the Thousand Sunny out at sea, loving to see it, loving to be out of Wano on open ocean again with the crew. We get to see Nami absolutely pissed at Luffy. It is hilarious. They actually, what seems to be having a new cage on the crew. It looks to be made of sea stone. If it is, that is unbelievable. That is such a good addition. It would make sense coming out of Wano that that's what it would be made out of, but we're hoping for some confirmation down the line. We get to see Jinbei finally interacting with the crew, finally becoming a part of the dynamic, even like getting scared by Nami, thinking she has Supreme Conqueror's haki when she's just the boss of the crew. She can damage Luffy even though he's a godlike rubber man. It is great to see. Then we finally get to see one of the Kuchus, of the newsbirds that fly around the Grand Line, delivering the bounties for the rest of the crew. This is something that I predicted last week that we were going to see, because it was about that time. It was about time for us to finally get all the rest of the crew's bounties after we had already got Luffy's a couple chapters ago. But we get to see Sanji running and trying to jump into Robin's arms, and her swiftly denying it. I still love that dynamic of Sanji, even though it's gotten to be a little bit tiresome over the years. But, alright Ryan, how about you take it over for some of the bounties on what we got?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're moving right along here. The first thing I want to say, though, is the fact that they decided to go with the 9 senior officers was the exact wording that Oda chose to use from the government this time. And I really appreciate that, because it shows that the government really sees every Straw Hat as a threat due to the fact that the Grand Fleet exists. And that, however the government perceives a Straw Hat organization, they perceive it as, like, an actual criminal syndicate, whereas, like, maybe Chopper runs part of the crew, albeit that is not true, and Chopper would have no control over the Grand Fleet. I think it is still hilarious to think that these are the, well, now 10 most revered, like, villains, aside from probably Blackbeard and Shanks, in the eyes of the government at this point. And then we can start off with these bounties where we get to see Chopper all nice and low still, or right at 1,000, only an increase of 900. I genuinely thought it was going to be lower. I think that Oda gave him a little too much there. I mean, he deserves all the bounties in the world. He deserves at least a bounty of 100 million, because it puts him kind of on par with the rest of the crew. And for the value that Chopper brings, I would say he probably brings more value than probably Nami, at least. I mean, Nami's a navigator, but I think they could get a navigator pretty much anywhere. So I think that Chopper's skill is a little downplayed still, but I think it's still hilarious that he's leaps and bounds below the rest of the crew, and he's mad about it too. Then we go up to Nami, which Nami's hilarious at 366 million. That, I mean, is just a increase that she deserved after Wano. I mean, yeah, Nami may be the most replaceable crewmate in the eyes of, like, the rest of the world, but to Luffy and the crew, she is really the glue. So maybe she's getting recognition for that, especially since she's been on the crew for probably, I think we're in our 4th year of Luffy's journey now, with the 2-year time skip and the amount of time that it took them to get from East Blue to Wano. And then moving on to Brook gets the steady increase of 383 million. Then moving on this Frankie, we see the 394 million berries. I think him being higher than Brook just really shows that the government did not fully understand what happened in Whole Cake, because Brook would probably be the highest ranking crew member aside from Luffy if they knew how valuable Brook was in the entire arc of Whole Cake. But still, we're at Frankie, and Frankie at his 394 is a valid increase, but you're still stuck with the with the poster being of the Sunny, not even Frankie here. Like, Frankie didn't even get pictured. I mean, the Sunny is his best accomplishment on the crew as of still now. I mean, he hasn't fought anybody that nobody else on the crew couldn't have beat, so he's not really unique in fighting ability. However, he is unique in his craftsmanship. Moving on to the next one, this is continuing the meme that is our god Usopp, where he is at a whopping 500 million berries for his bounty now. Just the fact that he still is no longer wanting to see that increase, that if anything he's trying to lower his value. I think it's just hilarious that he is still trying to hide from the government. Same with Nami, albeit being on the most famous crew probably in the Grand Line as of now. Moving on, we go to Robin. Robin being probably one of my favorite Straw Hats, if not my second favorite behind Luffy, with a bounty of 930 million berries. A whopping bounty, albeit, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little upset about it. I expected our girl to get a better raise here because, I mean, she is the reason they're gonna get the One Piece. And now that we are so close, I'm a little shocked that Oda and or the government, whoever you want to blame for the bounties, decided to put her so low. So low being the 5th highest on the crew, but still, she still deserves everything for being the one person that will actually be able to get the One Piece for Loot. On to the top 4 Straw Hats, we have Black Leg Sanji, the cook of them all, the best cook in the sea, presumably, at a whopping bounty of 1,032,000,000, albeit he is the 4th lowest, or the 4th highest on the crew. He has increased his worth tremendously by taking out Queen, and on top of that, like, the fact that he is 4th should give you some insight as to what's coming next. Getting beat out by Jinbei at 1.1 billion berries, an accurate estimate for his worth on the crew. I mean, Jinbei is the most tried and true pirate on the Straw Hats at this point, even above Luffy. I mean, he's been on some of the most legendary pirate crews to date. Basically, the only thing that could have made Jinbei more of a threat to the government would if he would have served directly underneath Whitebeard or Roger himself. There is nobody else that Jinbei could have worked for other than Fish Tiger that really could have propelled him to the lengths that he is, and he's finally getting a bounty that really reflects him properly. Then moving on to number 2, back in his rightful place as number 2, I will say, is Zoro. And Zoro being at number 2 at 1.111 billion berries. I mean, it just makes sense. We gotta have Zoro back on top. I mean, come on. Sanji, even with the Germa upgrades and whatnot, does not even come close to the work that Zoro put in Wano. You could even argue that Zoro might have done more than Luffy. Luffy really knocked out Kaido, but Zoro took attacks on attacks, dealt damage, cut Kaido, who the only person we've seen do that before was literally Odin himself, who we could only assume was mildly, if not intensely, trained by Roger and Whitebeard, being 2 of the strongest individuals we've ever known in the One Piece world. And then we obviously get to the captain, who we've known for some time now, being at 3 billion berries, Monkey D. Luffy, really getting close to the king of the pirates at this point. Like, all he's missing is 1 poneglyph, 1 One Piece, and we'll see a couple more billion get strapped on that name once we see that next poneglyph get captured, if that is the next course of action for the crew.
Okay, so yeah, Ryan touched on a lot of the bounties, but my 2 cents is I'm very happy with a lot of the bounty raises. One that I thought could have been more was definitely Chopper. I thought this was finally going to be his time and that he was going to actually get a bounty worthy of the rest of the crew. But I get the joke. I understand where Oda's coming from. The 1,000 berry bounty is definitely, well, it's 10 times as much as it was, but it's still not a lot. Again, I really liked Usopp's bounty. Like him being 500 million now is incredible. It ties back to his Dressrosa arc, where he was worth 500 million because of Doflamingo in the birdcage. That's great. I think Brooke and Frankie, their bounties were really cool too. They definitely got at least something of an increase, but I think it might have been worth a little bit more. But I'm really happy about Zoro and Sanji's dynamic still staying strong. Zoro teasing Sanji about now being number 4 in the crew, while Sanji is literally burning with anger on the floor of the Sunny. That is incredible. I love to see Jinbei up there. His bounty is huge, and it's worth him as a pirate, him as a person, him as just a powerhouse of the One Piece world. But now I'm very, very excited to get into the formation of the Cross Guild and all the information that we got about that this chapter. We start off seeing the Emperor of the Sea, Buggy, the genius jester, crying for his life, asking Mihawk and Crocodile to spare his miserable life. He'll do anything, even lick the mud from your boots. It is incredible. We were all wondering what the formation of the Cross Guild was like and how it came to be. Ever since we got that poster and saw that Buggy was now considered an Emperor of the Sea, we all wondered how Buggy got Mihawk and Crocodile to go under his banner, to promote him to this like Emperor of the Sea status. But we find out finally that he didn't. It was all just bad luck for Buggy, and now Mihawk and Crocodile are understandably very upset. Even Crocodile says the word humiliation doesn't even begin to describe this feeling. All Buggy can do is just cry and beg through his life. It's incredible to see now Mihawk being active in the story. He's always been just this prolific figure, but we even get some of this backstory now. After he was targeted by the Marines during the Warlord Hunt, after they were abolished during the Reverie, we get to see that Mihawk is starting to pack up, and Crocodile calls him personally, which is very interesting to see that Crocodile and Mihawk have the type of relationship that they're able to know where each other are, or at least Crocodile is, to be able to call him on his island. They seem to bond through distrust of other people, which is basically, I would say, the foundation of the Cross Guild. They don't trust anybody, so they might as well just trust each other and their strength. But we get to see how Buggy factors into all of this. It all happens, again, right after we saw the Marines starting to hunt the warlords after abolishing the system. But we see Crocodile and Das Bones, Mr. One, saving Buggy from the Marines. And you would think that's incredible. It's another just pirate helping a pirate trying to form an alliance. But no. The actual reason is Crocodile has come to collect a debt from Buggy, which gives us a little glimpse into what Crocodile's been doing over the past couple of years, since he hasn't been relevant too much in the story. He's been somewhat of a debt collector or a loan shark, giving people capital to build their business. But of course, Buggy's business is no longer profitable after Hydrogen and the other giants left, because they were their top earners, because of course they were 4 giants. Buggy might make one of the funniest jokes in the series, calling Crocodile Crocky Baby. That is unbelievable. I love to see that from Buggy, trying to get out of the situation, trying to act like he's a good friend, but instead just pissing off Crocodile even more. Buggy does save himself with the idea that he'll just give Crocodile his company. He's already got a large crew he amassed over the years, and just land. So it would have been a good deal. But Buggy's crew loves him so much they can't see the power dynamic or the fact that the Cross Guild was meant to be run by Crocodile and Mihawk. So they put him first and foremost front and center with the coolest looking picture, and the whole world now thinks Buggy is the leader. Understandably, now Mihawk and Crocodile are pissed. It makes perfect sense. If they end up killing Buggy, I wouldn't be surprised at some point. Although, now we get to see this all brought to light, what the bounties are for Crocodile and Mihawk. Especially Mihawk, but I've been wondering what both of their bounties were going to be for a while now. Crocodile's was frozen at 89 million before he became a warlord, and we haven't seen an update since he stopped being a warlord and was taken out by Luffy and Alabasta and escaped Impel Down. But his bounty now being 1.9 billion berries is incredible. They say it in the chapter, but it's based on his Logia power and intelligence and leadership. He is understandably one of the most intelligent and powerful people we have seen in the series. Taking over Alabasta was definitely an incredible feat for him. And choosing a country made completely of sand with his power is putting yourself in a position of undeniable power in that country. Is such a smart move.
I just want to interject. And because we've seen what Crocodile has done as a almost entrepreneur of the pirate world, where we have seen him truly show his brains with Alabasta and his ability to take over a nation and deceive a nation, and the fact that he was simply a pirate and like almost a well-known pirate, probably to almost anybody but the citizens of Alabasta. So he had gone in, uprooted government officials for a self-running government who would have known who Crocodile was and his threat, and took a nation by force, almost, without the force. Like, if he would have had to, he could have won. And he basically just destroyed Alabasta's economy. He is a genius, and I don't think enough people give Crocodile credit where credit is due because of how smart he truly is. My favorite part about this entire Cross Guild series that we got so far, the fact that we're actually getting information on it other than just seeing the poster, and the fact that the poster's all we had before and all we had to go on. It had to raise so many questions. It raised so many questions for me, it raised so many questions for Shovel. How does this trio even come about? Mihawk and Crocodile, if you take Buggy out, it does make a lot of sense. You never would have thought about it like that, though, because of Buggy. And the fact of the matter is that Buggy, like Shovel said, godlike stance in the One Piece world with just his reputation and just his charisma, if you even want to call it that, is what got him in this mess in the first place. He successfully created one of the most powerful criminal syndicates that we have ever seen in One Piece. I would say that this is more powerful than Doflamingo and Kaido, with the Smiles, Devil Fruit, with Caesar Clown. The three of them create a force to be reckoned with, a crew that was unforeseen before, a crew that's willing to go out there, and a crew that's putting bounties on the heads of Marines. And the fact that it started with one fat, stupid-looking goon that Buggy has had probably since Marineford is hilarious. He just decided to draw up a poster one day and sent it out all over the world without his captain's approval because they just hail him as the god of the One Piece world, and I absolutely love that.
Even eclipsing that, Vice Admiral Brand New gives us the bounty for the world's greatest swordsman at an incredible, unbelievable 3.59 billion berries. It is. I've thought about what Mihawk's bounty was going to be for a while now, since I've been watching One Piece for years. I've always wondered it, but I never thought it was going to be this high. That is amazing. He's worth more than Luffy, who is dubbed a new emperor. He's worth more than Blackbeard when he was dubbed a new emperor. But they think Mihawk is such a threat just by himself. That is incredible. But then it gives us also, sadly, one of the biggest bounties we have ever seen in One Piece. Buggy, the Genius Jester, for his ability to bring Mihawk and Crocodile to heel. He has gotten an unbelievable 3.189 billion berry bounty. That is unheard of, unthinkable for Buggy from when we saw him at the beginning of the series. I believe his first bounty was 16 million in East Blue, and now look at it. How far he's come from just screwing up and being in the right place at the right time. Luckily for Buggy, instead of killing him like Crocodile wants, Mihawk thinks of a better solution. Using Buggy as just a figurehead for their organization while they do whatever work they want to do while the Marines hunt him. That is what I honestly thought the formation of the Cross Guild was like, and why Buggy was considered an emperor. But it's great to see that that's the exact idea that Mihawk had. Now I'm very excited to see where they go going forward. If Mihawk and Crocodile are now big players in the game again, it is going to shake things up tremendously. With the amount of people Buggy has at his side, along with their intelligence and power, they are a force to be reckoned with. And then, how about, Ryan, you take over and introduce us a little bit to the Revolutionary Army.
Before I get into the Revolutionaries, I have one more thing to say about knowing Hawkeye and knowing Crocodile's bounties. The two of their bounties added together is just shy of Roger's 5.5 million. If Roger's bounty was 5.5 million, the two of them added together would be worth more. Roger was worth like 5.564 million, I believe, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right.
And the two of them added together is 5.555 million or billion. That is incredible, the fact that the two of them, in the eyes of the government, are worth a King of the Pirate to them. But speaking of King of the Pirates, Willa D, all of this big talk of getting to the end here, we get to our boy Dragon, another terrible anime father, to say the least, because he decided to take up his son's non-biological brother as a son, basically. But regardless of Dragon's track record as a father, we finally get to him talking about his new son being the fact, if Sabo is just fine, but if that is true, if he killed Cobra, there will be reckoning between us, no matter his reason. Because, I mean, Cobra has been an ally as far as we have known through this whole series. Cobra, if you forget, was the king of Alabasta and Vivi's father. And the fact that they say Sabo has assassinated him, I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I think that Cobra could have easily been corrupted at the Reverie and was going to join the world government and needed to die, or something along the lines of Cobra changed. I mean, we have had a 2-year time skip between the last time we've even seen or heard from Cobra, and what's to say that Cobra hasn't been corrupted by some exterior force? I mean, he basically let Crocodile run over his kingdom. So there could be good reason as to why Cobra has passed. However, this next chapter, we're hoping that we get the payoff from this phone call that Sabo made. Because who would have expected Sabo to call so soon? I certainly didn't. I wasn't expecting to hear from Sabo or Dragon or any of the revolutionaries for probably another 10 to 20 chapters. I figured we'd be getting right into the next arc, or at least figuring out where we're going next. Nope. we're getting right into the revolutionaries. We're getting right into the meat and bones of the One Piece world. We're really starting to get there, especially with Sabo calling, knowing that he is going to be in hot water, no pun intended, if he actually killed Cobra and Dragon is unaware. Also, I just think the fact that the revolutionaries are shown at all and that we've been seeing Shanks and all these other individuals, this is something that's very Oda of One Piece, which is to end an arc and then to bring in every aspect of the One Piece world we haven't seen in a while. And Wano took a while, so it is rightful to the fans and to us as One Piece content just lovers that we finally get these organizations all back. Organizations like the Cross Guild we didn't even realize we needed. But now to finally get to see the revolutionaries. Yeah, and of course we got to see Ivankov again with the revolutionaries, which was an incredible and very welcome sight to see Ivankov and the fishnets again and the tattoo, presumably just being Ivankov and all of her glory. But I want to touch once more on a little bit of theory that I don't know if you as a One Piece fan have heard. I would assume if you're listening to this podcast, you have heard it. But the Croco mom's theory, where Crocodile was Luffy's mom, probably wasn't Luffy's mom. But the fact that Ivankov and Crocodile have history, and Crocodile has very suspicious scars, and the fact that Ivankov and Croc were both in this story, and in the poster, if you look, Crocodile looks a little feminine to me. I mean, you look down from Crocodile's poster to Mihawk's poster, I mean, Crocodile looks a little effeminate, and I think that we will in either this next arc or this following arc, whatever the arc is actually going to be called, we'll get some theory or some insight into Crocodile's and Ivankov's past. Because I think that Oda would never oppose two stories, two organizations without reasoning or logic. And I think that how he mirrored us getting very involved with the world government in Enies Lobby and then immediately counteracting that with at the end of that arc getting Ace versus Blackbeard, setting up Marineford. I think that we're getting some big setup here with showing this new Cross Guild not even compared, but more or less contrasted, very starkly, mind you, with the Revolutionary Army, and Sabo finally speaking up after his news about killing Cobra. And I'll let Shovel finish out with his thoughts, but that was all from me.
Yeah, I just had a few more things to say. I was definitely going to bring up the fact that Crocodile and Ivankov were brought up in the same chapter, because I'm a big proponent of the fact that Crocodile was once a woman, and that's what their shared history is together. Just simply because of how much he is dubbed Sir Crocodile in the series. I know we've seen epithets change over the years. Even in this chapter, we saw that Mihawk's epithet used to be Marine Hunter, which could allude to the fact that Crocodile's has changed and to reflect that she is now a man or something along those lines. But bringing up stuff from the past, we now see Kuma just broken down and a husk of his former self. All he can say is, "As you command." We get to see Koala's feelings about seeing Kuma like that, with just tears welling up in her eyes. And it's heartbreaking. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to get maybe a little bit of Kuma back. Maybe the Revolutionary Armies will be able to reprogram him, or at least get some memory from him to turn him back into somewhat of a human. But it's not that likely at the moment. But still, the Revolutionary Army being able to take back Kuma is a huge victory for them. Not only is he a cyborg with an incredible devil fruit, but he could have information stored from Mary Joyce when he was there about all the celestial dragons, because they used them in turns. like each family getting a week. They could use him to have a big advantage in the war to come. But on to now the phone call, which is very important from Sabo. But what's just as important is that the Marines are tapping the line to the newcomer kingdom, or queendom, sorry. But it is very interesting to know, or to figure out how the Marines know where the Revolutionary Army is, and if that means they're about to attack them soon. Because we've seen that the Marines have tapped a lot of different Den Mushis. But the fact that they're tapping the revolutionaries right now could lead to some dire consequences in the future for Dragon and his forces. But seeing Sabo call so soon is definitely it makes me happy, because I was hoping we weren't going to draw this out like Oda tends to do, and we were going to finally get what happened at the Reverie, because I've been wondering about it for at least a year since we got that. But I don't think Sabo killed Cobra. I mean, there's definitely plenty of options to why he did it, or like if Cobra was a spy, something along those lines. I can understand it, but I think it's still the fact that the world government is setting Sabo up to be this grand villain, so they have the reason to go after the Revolutionary Army in force because they invaded the Holy Land of Mary Joyce. But I'm really hoping in the next chapter, or at least in the next 2 chapters, we at least get what happened at the Reverie, or at least Sabo's side of the story from this phone call, before I believe it's going to be inevitably cut off by the Marines, and it's just going to leave us wondering a little bit more. But I'm also still very curious on what happened to Vivi. Like, I always wanted Vivi to join the crew. I know Ryan always wanted Vivi to join the crew, but we are all still wondering what happened with her after her father died. And we're all still wondering what Luffy's going to do about it. I don't know if Luffy's seen the newspaper about Sabo yet, so we might get actually some information about that. He might read that in the newspaper that he just got with all the bounties, or at least someone will read it and tell him about it. But overall, we're looking forward to the next chapter. This was a great chapter. We got a lot of information. The stuff with the Cross Guild was unbelievable. The bounties were awesome. So going forward, we're looking forward to what's going to happen with the Cross Guild, Mihawk, and Crocodile, as well as next week hopefully getting Sabo and what actually happened at the Reverie.
That'll be all from us from Second Piece this week. Thank you for listening to the first chapter of our journey into the second line as podcasters. Any support you can give is appreciated to our brand new channel. Please be looking forward to our predictions coming up this week for chapter 1059. As we said, will we get Sabo? Will we get his explanation? Will we get to see Shanks again, since we got Shanks for, 3 chapters? Will we get another Shanks chapter? Will we see where the Straw Hats are going? Wait and find out on next episode of Second Piece.